It's a silly time of year, isn't it? Where we're about 2 weeks into the year. On Wednesday, it'll be 2 weeks. So while it seems like it's not really significant, it's getting significant. We're almost 10% of the way through the year. Um, for some teams, for others, around 5%. So we take it all with a grain of salt, but it's interesting to look at scoring because scoring is definitely pretty high right now. Goals for per game, Toronto leads the way at 4.83. That's impressive. New Jersey 4.67, equally impressive, even though New Jersey's only played 3 games. The fact that they score at this rate and Taylor Hall hasn't scored yet is fun. Chicago 4.40, Boston 4.40, Dallas 4.25. So, why is this significant? Because these goal totals are going to come down. These are teams that are relying on scoring a ton of goals right now. So, when goal scoring becomes a little harder to come by, these teams could struggle. Could. Goals for per game, teams that are insanely low. Arizona 0.5. That's not going to stay at 0.5. Vegas 1.67. Edmonton 1.67. Buffalo 2.20. And they're tied with Winnipeg, LA, and Detroit. So Winnipeg, you would expect, will pick it up. Although they only scored 3 last night. They went into last night with a goals for per game of 2. Edmonton, you'd think, has to pick it up because of McDavid, but keep in mind they've scored 5 goals. McDavid's been in on all of them. So it's looking like another year like that for Edmonton. But again, these numbers are not going to be that skewed. It's going to even out a bit. Goals against per game. You know, if you're scoring 2.2 per game and you're allowing 4.4, as is Detroit, you're going to end up at the bottom of some lists. Ottawa 4.2 per game, Chicago 4.2 per game, which definitely has helped to counteract their 4.44 per game. St. Louis a surprising 4 goals against per game, and Philly and Pittsburgh are tied with them there. Pittsburgh, without Justin Schultz, that number could stay right in around that area while everybody else comes down, or not. And again, the goaltending in Pittsburgh as well could be an issue. So we'll see going forward where that ends up. Goals against per game on the bright side of things, there's New Jersey with a 1.33 goals against. So you have 4.67 goals for, 1.33 goals against. They win all 3 games. That's kind of how you do it. It's early in the year. I don't expect them to lead in either chart by the end of the year, but they're there right now. Nashville 2.00, Anaheim 2.17, Winnipeg 2.20. So it's either on both charts. They can't score, but they don't allow goals either. And there's Arizona with 2.25, showing that once again, Arizona manages to lose, even though when you look at their shot differentials, they're out shooting their opponents big time. They're only allowing a certain amount of shots per game, and they're getting a lot of shots per game. Let's get into that. Shots per game, Carolina leads the way with 42.3. You can't maintain 42.3, but Carolina is very aggressive, and it's working pretty darn well for them early in the year. San Jose 38.5, Chicago 36.8, Florida 36.7, and Arizona 36.5. What's surprising is below 500, below 500, below 500. So these teams are shooting a bunch, not scoring a bunch. So that eventually should turn around for the most part. But we'll get into shooting percentages of teams as weeks go by. We'll get further into depth with this. I'm not going to get into depth because, again, it's too early in the year for that. Arizona leads the way in shots against per game with 23.5. So they're out shooting their opponents big time. So if you're the coach, if you're Rick Tocchet, you got to look at this and say, all right, we just keep playing our game and it'll come. Because if you're out shooting your opponents by 13 shots per game, eventually it'll start turning itself around on some level. It has to. Vegas 24.8 shots against per game, so Vegas is also wasting what's been a pretty solid defense. And it's funny because I keep seeing they missed Nate Schmidt. Their defense isn't good enough. It's not their defense, it's their offense. They're only scoring 1.67 goals per game. Their offense just has not been there. Stastny has not had anywhere near the start he was supposed to, and now he's hurt. And Pacioretty, maybe he plays better when he's miserable. I don't know. Carolina's only allowing 25 shots per game. Think about that. They're out shooting their opponents by 17 and a third shot per game. Wow. Montreal 26.3, New Jersey 26.3. And also noteworthy, Only 9 teams out of 31 have a record below 500. Thanks to the era of the 3-point game, because an overtime loss counts as the same as what a tie would have. You don't really go below 500. It doesn't count as a direct loss. So there are 22 fan bases right now looking at their start and going, yeah, we're pretty good out of 31. And that's where the parity comes in, and that's why every game's important. So, there are certain teams you see on the board numerous times, and there are some that don't show up on here at all. Let me know which surprise has or which start has surprised you the most on both sides of the spectrum. For me, the biggest surprise, I had not expected Toronto to average almost 5 goals per game. That seems high. And Chicago playing these loosey goosey 4 goals for, 4 goals against. That's surprising. Um, and Edmonton's anemic offense is surprising, as is Vegas. I would love to say that Arizona's surprising, but I'm starting to realize Arizona's just never meant to have a good start to the season. So there you go. Just a quick little overlook. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.